to our speaker, I just learned that he was actually lived here a few years ago. So welcome back to Dr. Sarabjot Singh, and he's going to be doing a talk on developing a skilling and mentoring ecosystem for Sikh students.
So which one do I use?
I think this one's the one that's working. Okay. So I'll hand this one to you. Brilliant. Okay, you've got 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So yes, I am here to talk to you about a platform that we are building called Khalis Hunar, which is a platform for learning skilling and mentoring for Sikh students. And I have to say that I'm still a student, despite my grey beard. I'm actually doing a program at Stanford right now. And I feel that all of us, if we have to succeed, have to continue to skill. So when we talk about skilling and learning for Sikh students, it really means the community at large. Now, one of the talks that I attended at Stanford was by Professor Mary Murphy, who talked about her research and has a wonderful book on her research about creating a growth culture. And I was fascinated by the research that she presented, and in fact bought a couple of copies of her books and shared it with some of the people that I work with and said, let's create a book club to discuss this work. But then, of course, when I reflected on what the book said, I realized that she was only a little over 300 years behind what Guru Gobind Singh Ji had done when he created the Khalsa Panth. And what he made on that day, and I hope that we all realize it, is he broke this myth of genius, that you're either born with or without the ability to be a leader. He created a force of people that together created a power that hadn't existed before. Unfortunately, I think we've forgotten that power that was given to us. We were given Sangat by the Guru, who created Sangat, in my view, to ensure that we always remember collective responsibility for what they had left behind. Also, collective conscience, to realize that, we are one and we have to work together to create the future for us. And when he talked about the us in his writings, he meant the world at large. And he empowered us to take collective action. And that experiment that he created in Anandpur Sahib resulted in sparrows being able to fight hawks. Yet, after the fall of Ranjit Singh's empire, we know that things changed. And a famous book by Leitner talks about how an amazing education system that existed in Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time was systematically destroyed by the British. I want to move to a story that you probably don't know so much about. This is Sardar Kabul Singh. Sardar Kabul Singh, or Rai Bahadur Kabul Singh as he was known, lived in Quetta. In 1904, he created a school by donating land, which is now known as the Government Special Higher Secondary School in Quetta. Research led me to the fact that he had created the school which was called the Khalsa High School in 1904. In 1908, when the first Sikh educational conference took place, they noted the fact that there were only 7 schools at the time. In addition to the school that he had created in 1904, he had also created a girls' school. So 2 of those 7 schools existed in Quetta at the time. And he was a common Sikh, one person creating impact. Now, the conference decided that they have to increase the number of Sikh schools. And the research that I did suggested that in 1923, the number had gone from 7 Khalsa schools to 210 schools. And by 1947, that number had actually gone up to 340 schools. Now, in addition to being a visionary in terms of education, he was also somebody who believed in the Guru's teachings. And so when a Gurdwara in Quetta wanted to split the Sangat based on caste lines, he said that he would go with the lower castes instead of staying with the Gurdwara that didn't understand the Sikh philosophy and the Guru's philosophy. And by doing so, he kept the Gurdwara together and the Sangat together. He also told the Sikhs at the time that, Quetta was in the earthquake zone. He used to say that whenever an earthquake takes place, rather than running around trying to save your lives, sit down and do the Nitnem. Remember God, because if you're going to die, you're going to die. And it doesn't matter what you try and do. And sure enough, in 1934, an earthquake devastated Quetta, and he was found in the rubble, true to his word. With his gutka in his hand. The school was rebuilt by his brother, who then became the government official that looked after Quetta. And till date, I don't know whether you noticed, the map there said that the school is on a road called Sardar Gurdit Singh Road, which was his name. The school also produced major generals of the Indian Army and people of high ranking as a result of that initiative of his. But none of his great-grandchildren are going to have that kind of glorious death that he had. Because their fate is the same as this rose that used to grow outside my office window until I decided to pluck it, and being kind, I put it into a bottle full of water and thought it shall flourish. But of course, what happened to it was it died in a few days, and we have actually cut our roots by not focusing on education within our community. And so that's why I congratulate Hajindari ji and all of the others who are involved in Sikhs in Academia, because our community lies way behind any other community when it comes to academics. We have destroyed our schools as well. And so we have taken away the opportunity for our children to go to those schools. Most Sikhs don't go to the Sikh schools that exist today, because with God's grace, we've been able to afford better schools. And as George Orwell said, the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history. Well, most of our kids don't know our history. And as a result, we see deplorable kind of growth in Punjab. We see our children being unemployable in national media. And we are consumed by messages like these, where there's a sizable problem in conversion in Punjab, and we've left our kids on the street looking for Chaddi Kala. And while all this was happening, in 2012 I moved back, I left Warwick, I used to teach computer science here and went back to India. For a number of years we were doing a couple of experiments, and I talked about some of those experiments in my last talk here 2 years ago. But all those experiments seemed to crystallize when a nephew of mine introduced me to a book called The Network State. And I thought that the network state is a very interesting idea. A state is a highly aligned online community with a capacity for collective action. This is the thesis that this book presents to us. And while all of us are so busy talking about creating physical nationhood, maybe there is an alternative, and that alternative is to come together and to work towards a common good of our community. And so what was interesting was that before I came across this book, I had been kind of charting out a map of my own, which actually looks fairly similar, maybe not as pretty as that one, and doesn't have dollar signs on it. But the idea of Khalis Hunar was to create a platform that brings nationhood in the cloud for the Sikhs, which is aimed at skilling, it's aimed at improving the outcomes of our community without in any way wanting to limit ourselves to certain boundaries. And the idea here was that with a platform in the cloud and local learning centers and skilling centers that leverage all of the infrastructure that we have, maybe we can create something of value for our community. Now, as it happened, in 2018, I co-founded Saubudh Foundation, which was based in Mohali. And it was short-sighted that it was based in Mohali. We used to have 35 students that we taught AI and machine learning and the Internet of Things, sensor technology, robotics. And why I say it was short-sighted and why the guru actually helped us by creating COVID was it took us online. And when we went online, in a couple of years, we started to train a lot larger number of students. We are today training around 700 students a year in AI, machine learning, and robotics. We've had our students from Punjabi University, one example here, this is Simran, who has created a software that uses sensor technology to understand the emotional state of a person using EEG, ECG data, as well as galvanic skin response and other technology that has been developed in-house by him and some of his colleagues. And we are now spinning this out as a separate company and taking it across the world. He's been presenting this to CEOs of large organizations. So who says that our kids can't do amazing stuff? We have now in two Gurdwaras in Delhi, in the Rajouri Garden Gurdwara and Saket Gurdwara, started AI and robotics programs, where we are teaching again for free this technology to people who want to learn it. We also were very disturbed about the quality of Sikh education being provided. And these are the Guru Harkishan public schools that used to be fairly well-respected schools in Delhi for those who know them, but today they have a debt of around 400 crores because they've been mismanaged by politicians. And so we went, and while we started to try and kind of force our way into it by doing our usual Sikhi way of being a warrior, going in and shouting at the politicians that run these schools, soon we realized that was a dead end. And so we started to collaborate with them and tell them, look, you don't know anything about education, you keep whatever you want to do with these schools, but let us at least improve the quality of education. And we started to bring in programs where we realized that my son who's here, who has read the whole series of Harry Potter at age 7, the 8-year-olds in those schools were reading wafer-thin books with large print. And we realized what the gap was in education being provided in private schools compared to schools that are in the name of the gurus. And so we started to do innovative programs with them around using AI for doing creative, storytelling, creating creative outputs. And we found great success in doing that. Oops, sorry. We've also started training teachers on AI to try and start using that in improving the quality of teaching that they're doing. But all of this really led us to realize that what we really need to build is Khalis Hunar, which is a platform that was in fact a learning management system that we used within Saubudh for a number of years. We have now added to that the ability to do collaborative projects, because it's not good enough to just learn the theory of it, you've got to apply it. We've built platforms for farmers. We've talked about those 2 years ago, so I won't go into great detail there. But now we've added a mentorship piece to it as well. And this is where I think all of you here in the UK can start to participate. Yesterday we heard from the Kalgidhar Trust how kids need mentorship. We have also ourselves seen the fact that kids do need mentorship, their parents need mentorship, because they don't know what the future is going to bring in terms of skilling, in terms of jobs. So you go onto the platform, you search for a mentor, you have a meeting with them, AI generates a summary of it, it generates action points for you, and you can follow up with your mentees who can book additional slots easily through this, and you can even mentor people on projects. And the kinds of projects that we've done are of interest to some of the folks here who were talking about Gurbani, Sangeet, Gurmat Sangeet, where we are actually looking at the emotional changes in a person using the same EEG, ECG sensors to look at when they are exposed to Gurmat Sangeet, how does their emotional state change? So these are just some of those projects. You can come up with projects yourselves, you can get students, you can mentor them. We are adding AI interview skills in there, AI-based interviewing, right? So that we can reduce the amount of bandwidth that you need to put in, but get useful outcomes from these students. In terms of the learning management system, in addition to AI, machine learning, and cybersecurity, and whatever else that we can bring to them, the idea is to also bring them the ability to do their GCSE Punjabi, to be able to bring Sikhism into the curriculum, to bring maybe the Sikh music exams and take what we are doing here in the UK to a broader audience and get them to skill up in all of those, right? And so the idea is that if we can get a student in, we can get them mentors that tell them how to skill up to achieve jobs. We can give them a museum of professionals and their pathways to success. You can actually get them to connect to a pathway. You can support them by mentoring them, skilling them through these courses. And if they actually show an interest in Sikhi as well, then maybe we can even offer them support in getting them to universities abroad where they can get even better education than what is available. So in conclusion, Khalis Hunar is a platform aimed at enabling best practice to flourish. You're doing all sorts of wonderful things like SikhsInAcademia. You know, can we take that and scale that to not be limited by geographies? Can we get collaborative responsibility, consciousness, and action to take place within our community? It's time for us to block out external noise. I think we have been really poor at creating a strategy for ourselves as Sikhs. So can we actually say, I'm done with people who are creating narratives that I don't associate myself with. Let me focus on my people and make my people strong, because it's only when my people are strong are we really going to be able to deliver Sarabjot Singh. Can we create the self-belief that was created at the time of the Gurus in our people today? And can we make people realize, and it's time for us to realize, we were not made to be mediocre. Yet, we are happy in being mediocre. Let's get out of that and be what we are supposed to be, which is the people who are going to bring peace to the rest of the world because the Guru gave us Sarabjot Singh. Let sparrows fight hawks once again.